because some SMEs, they're very considerable about IPR and patents. Some of them don't even know that patents exist. Some know exist, but they say we don't want to do anything about it. So how should we approach the SMEs if they are so diverse? So what we did here was we made an analysis, or you can say an investigation, of the knowledge and the approach to IPR from these SMEs. And we did that, it was kind of a very comprehensive work. So we did it also to approach them, to provide the companies the information about patents and trademarks and strategies for performing these things. But we also did it for ourselves in order to find out what is this group, what do they know, what do they don't know, and what is like, what could our role be to those. So what we did was we had more than 60, actually 67, one-to-one meeting between DKPTO and SMEs. They were conducted in the period from 2018 until last year. We started out doing them as physical meetings because Denmark is a small country, so we can actually visit the companies and have a discussion and a talk with them. And during the COVID-19, we had several online meetings, which was also like a good way to meet these people, these companies. And then based on all these companies and the feedback we got and the knowledge we obtained from having all these one-to-one meetings, I was doing most of them myself together with colleagues. We got some insight, and this insight we obtained was used to make, okay, we want to make tailored services for this very diverse target group. So how can we make our best services for this group? So what we find out based on all these meetings was like actually very few of the companies, less than 10%, had a clear IPR strategy. They didn't have a systematic approach to IPR, these companies. They didn't have a well-established and allocated responsibilities for the individual IPR tasks. It was not clear for them like who's doing what are you doing if you have like an opposition, what are you doing? So for most companies this was kind of artificial how they did it. They didn't have a structure of it. Of course they have some awareness about IPR. So, and the way they use patents was mainly established on funding, because like they have learned that if they want to have funding from venture capital firms, it was important for them to have a patent. So for some of the company, it was a driver for them. The driver for the patent was not for the patent itself, but that was for the funding of it. It could also be in evaluation, if they were like in a due diligence. So this was the main driver for many of the companies. Another insight we got was it kind of was like this pain-gain thing is, like either if you had a bad experience, because you didn't have an IPR and you got some like bad experiences, then you say, okay, now we have to learn from our bad experience, and then you have to build a focused IPR strategy. It could also be a success story that, we had this patent, maybe we didn't think about why we had it, but since we had this patent, we were actually able to do business with a big company which claimed that there should be a patent in it. So, and that make them think about. So it used to be that it should either be like a success story or a bad experience that kind of kickstart the companies to focus more on IPR in the future. What we also found out was that these companies that had limited knowledge about the possibilities in the patent system. and we have very experienced people sitting there and answering questions. And if they cannot answer it, then they can direct the call into an expert. If you, for instance, get a complicated question about oppositions, then they can send the call further on to an expert within oppositions. And then we do have some business services that we also provide, which is especially targeting the SMEs. So we do have social media campaigns, and what we do, we actually spend a lot of time on this and also focus, because I think the thought behind it is that, okay, we'll get in again because this is a potentially, using the social media, you can reach out to many people at one go. We're using influencers in order to reach out to really many people at one time, using like influencers who have a lot of followers and kind of pair up with them. And we're also using different channels. It could be LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram, depending on which target we want to reach. If you want to find the youngest one, you might go on something like Instagram. So we have this toolbox on our homepage, but we have different tools, you can say, which is good and usual for starting up business. We have something called the price calculator. It calculates, like, of course you cannot tell before how much will it cost at the end to have this patent in these countries, including what you have to pay to the IP lawyer, but you can get an estimate, and not only like get an estimate of the total cost, but sometimes it's very valuable to see when are you going to pay. You're going to pay like the renewal, but you're also paying like in the beginning or in the end, because it's very usual for these startups who doesn't have that many money to know I'm going to pay all of it immediately, or it's kind of in steps. Then we also have, it should be mentioned that here in Denmark, most of the SMEs, they actually use an IP lawyer to do the drafting of the patent application. But we do have a step-by-step guide how to fill in the patent application and the trademark application. Particularly the trademark application is very useful for SMEs because they can actually do it themselves with good like tips and tricks how to do it and what to remember. Then we also have access to standard contract. So it's kind of a template. So if you want to do a non-disclosure agreement, if you're an SME and you want to do collaboration with a bigger company, and you need to show something about your product or your development, so before that you need to have some kind of non-disclosure agreement, an NDA, then you have a template. Of course, you have to maybe to modify it so it fits to your case, but you can use it as a starting point so you remember to take into account all the details. And similar for the license agreements. And then we have the free webinars targeting SMEs. And we also have the customer service, and I have an example of that here. So this is a business service that we do have, and we only do the search service. We're not doing the consulting, we're not doing the analysis. But this is something we use, that we have very, very experienced patent examiners, very experienced searchers. And we also have very good search tools. So this is dialogue search, that's either online or physically. So you come in and then you search together with an expert and receive guidance on specific areas which could be relevant for you. And then you do a search 2 hours. It's not in-depth, it's only 2 hours, but it's kind of like scratch in the surface and see. And then you get an initial indication on the novelty and on the IP landscape in a specific technological area. So it usually takes 2 hours, and then you pay for that. And after that, you get a link to the relevant document, so you can see which document is in the area of this technological area, which is very useful if you're starting to build a business and you're trying to develop a product, so you can have a very preliminary idea of the IP landscape around it. So the last part of my talk is a short case story. As I mentioned, most of the company don't have a clear IPR strategy. Some of them have like to some extent, some ideas, some thought, and some responsibilities in the companies. So, but this company here called Aquaporin is kind of an exception. They have a very clear IPR strategy, and they had it from the very beginning when they started the company back in 2005. At that time, they were a spin-off company, very small. They were spin-off from the biggest technical university in Denmark, Danish Technical University. And now here, what's about 18 years later, they have 80 employees and still alive. So what they do, they work with water treatment. And they do it like in a natural way, so it's not like a physical membrane, but it's biometric membrane. It's a membrane, it's a protein, and this protein is kind of from the nature's own water filtration process. So you take the biological membrane and then you use it for filtering the water. And 1 gram of this protein, this aquaporin, can filter 700 liters of water for each second. So the patent strategy that they have, so as I said, this is kind of an exception. This is only few companies who actually have this clear patent strategy. So it's kind of a success story. And we are using this as a case story to go out and show it to the other companies and say, come and learn from those, from this company here. We also have made a video together with the company in order to make awareness to other companies that at least think about your patent issues. Think about it. Not necessarily go for the patents, but consider if you should do it at all. So this company, they had a very clear and offensive patent strategy. And it's kind of integrated in the company's corporate strategy. So the patent strategy goes along with the corporate strategy. So what they focus on is to have early and a very broad patent filings, and then they can narrow it later on. And the reason they're actually doing these patent filings is to attract investors, but also to put price on the product, because sometimes it's easier to put a price on if you have a patent, because then you kind of have the scope of your product. But it also allows them to disclose technical details for third party, because they have put in the patent application, so they don't have to consider about NDAs, like the non-disclosure agreements. So what I will do now is to show this video. It's only 2 minutes long. The video is in Danish, but there's English subtitles, so you can understand what they say. And I just have to change to that one. Just a second. So that was the wrong one. Okay, so this was the last part of my talk, and as Sita mentioned, they were quite unusual that they were kind of focusing so much on patent, but some companies do, and then they could be like an ideal for other companies. So I will end my talk by thanking you for your attention. Also here, if you have any questions. Oh. Sorry. Sorry, it started again. So do you have any questions?
Anybody have any question? Mr. There is one question from outside. My name is Surendra Bhandari. I am from Ahmedabad itself. So, do you provide any help in hand-holding support?
If you do any help.
And handling support in like intellectual property right and everything?
If you do any help in that?
IPR hand-holding. Hand-holding.
IPR holding?
Hand-holding in IP.
In handling the IP? No, the administration of it. Handling of it.
Any software system in IP filing?
Or you think that the software in order to organize it, like the management system of IPR?
Yes.
No, this is not like, that's beyond the services we can do, because like we provide guidance and information, but this with the software and actually to an administration system, I think you will need to have like an IP lawyer to help you with that. Yeah, we don't do that.
If there is no question, then we should just stop here. Mukunji, is there anything added from your side?
Thank you so much, Tina, for the session.
Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Tina.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time.
Have a good day.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
So we have now from DSR with Mr. D. Sheshagiri. So he'll tell you about ICCAT studies, because it has got a GI tag, and he'll tell you what is the history of behind ICCAT, and what is the peculiarity of this design. Yes, sir, please.
నమస్తే సార్. ఈ ప్రోగ్రామ్ అరేంజ్ చేసినటువంటి MSME కంపెనీ వాళ్ళకు, ఆర్గనైజర్స్ అందరికి కూడా అభినందన తెలియజేస్తూ, మేము 2015లో DSR వ్యూస్ కంపెనీ స్టార్ట్ చేయడం జరిగింది. ఇది హ్యాండిక్రాఫ్ట్స్ మోడల్లో ఉంటుంది. కంప్లీట్ తెలుగు थोड़ा తెలుగు చేసి వాళ్ళే మేము 2015లో స్టార్ట్ చేశాము. హ్యాండ్లూమ్ ఇండస్ట్రీ ఇన్ పోచంపల్లి, ఫస్ట్ ఇండస్ట్రీ ఇన్ MSME కంపెనీ. దీంట్లో మేము వీవింగ్ అండ్ డైయింగ్ అండ్ డెవలప్మెంట్ ప్రోగ్రామ్స్ తీసుకున్నాము. మా దగ్గర ఓన్లీ కాటన్ అండ్ సిల్క్ ప్రోగ్రామ్స్ అయ్యేది. దాంట్లో వేరియస్ ఐటమ్స్ మేము డెవలప్ చేయడం జరిగింది. లెనిన్ తీసుకున్నాము, ఏది సిల్క్ తీసుకున్నాము, మల్బరీ సిల్క్తో చేసాము. లాట్ ఆఫ్ వెరైటీస్ మేము డెవలప్ చేసాము. ఇక్కత్లో కూడా డిజైన్స్లో చాలా వరకు వెరైటీస్ని బాగా తీసుకొని రాగలిగాము. మాకు మా వర్క్ చూసి స్టేట్ గవర్నమెంట్ ఆఫ్ తెలంగాణ వాళ్ళు కూడా కంప్లీట్ షాల్స్ అన్నీ కూడా మా కంపెనీ నుంచి, వాళ్ళు పోలీస్ స్టేషన్కి వాడే షాల్స్ అన్నీ కూడా మా కంపెనీ నుంచి వెళ్తున్నాయి. టిల్ టుడే ఆల్సో అదొక అదృష్టంగా భావిస్తున్నాము. అదేవిధంగా మా కంపెనీకి ఇంకా కూడా దీన్ని ఇంకా డెవలప్ చేయాలి అనేది మా ఉద్దేశం. ఇప్పుడు ఒక 150 మెంబర్స్కి పని కల్పిస్తున్నాం. దీన్ని మేము ఒక 500 లెవెల్లో దీన్ని డెవలప్ చేయాలని కోరుకుంటున్నాము. అదేవిధంగా ఇప్పుడు ఉన్నటువంటి పోచంపల్లి ఇక్కత్ సారీస్ వ్యవస్థలో కెమికల్ డైస్ వాడుతున్నాం. డైస్ అనేది కెమికల్ డైస్ ఉంది. దాన్ని మేము ఆర్గానిక్ డైస్ అండ్ కంప్లీట్ వెజిటబుల్ డైస్ మనము దీన్ని చేయాలి. ఇండస్ట్రీ దీన్ని డెవలప్ చేస్తున్నాము. కంప్లీట్ న్యాచురల్ దీన్ని ప్రోగ్రాంలో మేము ఇంట్రడ్యూస్ చేయాలనుకుంటున్నాము. ఈ 2023లో దీన్ని ప్రమోషన్ కోసం మేము గవర్నమెంట్ కూడా సంప్రదిస్తున్నాము. ఇది పెద్ద ఎత్తున అవేర్నెస్ తీసుకొస్తుందని మేము ఆశిస్తున్నాము. ఆరోగ్యపరంగా వాల్యూస్ తోటి కూడుకున్నది. గత పురాతన కాలం నుంచి 150 years బిఫోర్ అంతా కూడా న్యాచురల్ డై తోటే బట్టలు వీవింగ్ చేయడం కానీ ఏది జరిగినా న్యాచురల్ డై తోటే జరిగింది. అప్పటి వరకు కెమికల్ అనేది లేదు. అలాంటి వ్యవస్థను మళ్ళీ మనం పునరావృతం చేసుకొని ఆరోగ్యకరంగా బీపీ ఉన్న వాళ్ళకు ఒక టైప్ ఆఫ్ ట్రీ ప్లాంట్స్ తోటి, షుగర్ ఉన్న వాళ్ళకు ఈ టైప్ ఆఫ్ దానికి మెడిసినల్ టైప్ ఆఫ్ మెథడ్లో కూడా మేము ఫాలో చేస్తున్నాము. సర్వే చేశాము. దాని గురించి మేము ట్రైనింగ్ కూడా తీసుకున్నాము హ్యాండ్లూమ్ టెక్స్టైల్స్ వాళ్ళ నుంచి మేము. అదేవిధంగా కంపెనీ డెవలప్మెంట్ చేసి వెల్త్ అండ్ హెల్త్ అనే కాన్సెప్ట్ తోటి మేము ఇక్కత్ పరిశ్రమని మంచి అభివృద్ధి పదంలో చేయడానికి ప్రయత్నం చేస్తున్నాము. ఈ కార్యక్రమంలో మాకు MSC కంపెనీ నుంచి మా ఈ వాళ్ళంతా కూడా గవర్నమెంట్ వాళ్ళు కూడా మాకు కొంచెం సపోర్ట్ చేస్తే ఈ ఇండస్ట్రీని మంచి అభివృద్ధి పదంలో తీసుకెళ్తాము. అదేవిధంగా మా దగ్గర ఉన్నటువంటి వీవర్స్కు కూడా ఇది ఎక్స్పోర్ట్ కావడం వల్ల వాళ్ళకు ఇన్కమ్ సోర్స్ కూడా పెరిగే అవకాశం, బిజినెస్ కూడా పెరిగే అవకాశం ఉంది. మేము అది ఆశిస్తున్నాము. అదేవిధంగా మాకు గవర్నమెంట్ ఆఫ్ తెలంగాణ నుంచి కూడా అవార్డ్స్ వచ్చాయి. మాకు డిజైన్ బెస్ట్ డిజైన్ అవార్డ్స్ డెవలప్మెంట్ సోర్స్ కింద. अच्छा डेवलपमेंट करने के लिए हम ट्राई कर रहे हैं. ये पोचमपल्ली में 3 to 4,000 वीवर्स हैंडलूम, नॉट पॉवर, कंप्लीट हैंडलूम. హ్యాండ్లూమ్ లో వీవర్ కు వేజెస్, బెస్ట్ వేజెస్ మనం చేయడానికి ప్రయత్నం చేస్తున్నాము. థ్యాంక్ యూ. సార్ మాకు జియో ట్యాగ్ మాకు 6 years అవుతుంది. జియో ట్యాగ్ వచ్చింది. దానివల్ల మా ప్రోడక్ట్ వాల్యూ కూడా వరల్డ్ వైజ్ అయింది. దాని ప్రచారం అయింది. మాకు ఒక కంపెనీ వాళ్ళు, ముంబై కంపెనీ వాళ్ళు ఒకసారి మాకు ఒక ప్రింటింగ్ చేశారు. దాని మీద మేము ఒక కేసు కూడా వేయడం జరిగింది చెన్నైలో. దాన్ని వాళ్ళ కంపెనీ వాళ్ళు వచ్చి మా పోచంపల్లికి వచ్చి వాళ్ళు రియలైజ్ అయ్యి మేము ఇది ఉన్నదని తెలియకుండా మేము చేసాం, మిస్టేక్ చేసాం, సారీ చెప్పి మాకు వాళ్ళు కంపెన్సేషన్ లేదు అలాంటిది ఏమి తీసుకోలేదు. ఫస్ట్ టైం కదా అని చెప్పి మనము ఈ వాళ్ళు IL&FS సంస్థ నుంచి వాళ్ళు కొంచెం రికగ్నైజ్ చేసి వాళ్ళు ఓన్లీ ఫ్రెండ్లీ రిలేషన్ లాగా చేశారు. దానివల్ల మాకు బాగా అడ్వర్టైజ్మెంట్ కంపెనీ పోచంపల్లి డిజైన్ కూడా వరల్డ్ వైజ్ మాకు అడ్వర్టైజ్మెంట్ అయింది. GI వల్ల కూడా మంచి ఒక ఎడ్యుకేటర్స్ అందరు కూడా దానికి బాగా ప్రయారిటీ ఇస్తుంది. మాకు అదొక సపోర్ట్ కూడా, కాపీ కాకుండా ఉండడానికి అదొక సపోర్ట్ కూడా అయింది. కాకపోతే ఈ మధ్య కాలంలో నాకు యూట్యూబ్ అండ్ కొన్ని మాధ్యమాలలో మా సేమ్ సారీస్ ని కాపీ చేసి వాళ్ళు 10,000 ఉన్న చీర 8,000 ఉన్న చీరని 200, 500 అని చెప్పి అట్లా కాపీ చేసి ఈ మధ్య కాలంలో చేస్తున్నారు. నేను ఆ విషయం కూడా కంపెనీ వాళ్ళతోటి నేను చర్చించాము నిన్న కూడా. అది అట్లా కొన్ని కేసెస్ వేయచ్చు, దాన్ని మనం అసోసియేషన్ నుంచి మనం అట్లా దాన్ని యాక్షన్ తీసుకోవచ్చు అని అంటున్నారు. మాకు ఆ సపోర్ట్ కూడా చేయాలని MSME వాళ్ళని రిక్వెస్ట్ చేస్తున్నాను. దానివల్ల మాకు ఈ మా దగ్గర ఉన్న వర్కర్స్ కు జీవనోపాధి ఇబ్బంది కాకుండా ఉంటుంది. నేను సార్ శేషగిరి గవర్నర్.
మాట్లాడి మీరు రెస్పాండ్ అయితే వాళ్ళు నోటీస్ పంపించినా నోటీస్ పంపించినా మీరు యూ ఆర్ ద సోల్ అండ్ సోల్ లీగల్లీ ఆన్సరబుల్ అకౌంటబుల్ పర్సన్.
ఓకే, ఎస్ సార్.
సో కాంటాక్ట్ కాండి.
ఓకే, అదేవిధంగా నేను టైండ్ అసోసియేషన్ అంది మాది 200 హోల్సేల్ పార్టీస్ ఉన్నారు. దానికి అసోసియేషన్ కూడా నేను వైస్ ప్రెసిడెంట్ ఉన్నాను. మేము అసోసియేషన్ తరఫున కూడా మేము
మీకు స్క్రీన్ షాట్ తీయడం వచ్చా? సో యూట్యూబ్ లో వాళ్ళు 200 ప్రైజ్ ప్లస్ స్క్రీన్ షాట్ తీసుకోండి. దాన్ని ఎవిడెన్స్ అన్ని సంపాదించండి.
దాన్ని మనకు మంచిగా
కన్వర్జేషన్ సంపాదించండి. ఇంకా సోషల్ మీడియాలో ఎక్కడెక్కడ ఏం పెట్టారు అంతా ఎవిడెన్స్ చేసి మేము కూడా హెల్ప్ చేస్తాము.
100% మీ సహకారం కావాలి.
తప్పకుండా మీరు ఫస్ట్ ఎవిడెన్స్ కలెక్ట్ చేయాలి.
మనకు ఎవరు చేస్తున్నారని పాయింట్ ఆఫ్ వ్యూ థ్యాంక్ యూ సార్. థ్యాంక్ యూ ఫర్ గుడ్ అడ్వైస్. థ్యాంక్ యూ.
Hello.
Yes,
Are you getting it?
yes. Sir, please, you can start. So we have Indra.
Again, yeah, I'm Indra Katyal. I'm father of my immortal son Amit Katyal, who was the inventor of it. So he has worked independently since 2004 and developed 4 new technologies, 3 of which have been granted with 9 India, US and UK patents. And for 4th, the patent application publication was published. But same could not be processed further due to financial constraints and his untimely sudden demise. I would also like to thank the Ministry of MSME, especially Dr. Arun Pandaji, for allotting me and my inventor son a personal meeting and for his positive recommendations toward fixing the patent reimbursement scheme for the individuals, independent researchers and technology inventors like my immortal son to provide the much needed financial support. But to provide an appropriate financial support and to encourage the inventors to do more inventions, I would also urge our government to immediately adopt an instant incentive scheme like our DFO, which only an amount of rupees 3 crores equivalent, but also allot a team of required specialists to test and commercialize the new technology to the inventor just after the grant of any technological patent. Such tactics of Chinese government has got China at the top of even the developed nations like US in grant of patent and immediate commercialization of new technology. I am open to licensing the inventions to the competitive Indian MSMEs and gaining water treatment technologies for desalination, purification, and even treating the industrial effluents through a specific gas hydrate-based water desalination technology to make our India Atmanirbhar Bharat, as well as made in India products which would not only serve the purpose of purifying water of our pious rivers like Ganga, Yamuna, etc., but will also benefit our Indian economy by using these most cost-effective, efficient and path-breaking technologies in our own country, but will also export to other nations on account of our increasing scarcity of potable and agricultural water around the globe. My immortal son has the honored credit of developing all the 3 new technologies which were being researched since the last several decades. Similarly, the 3rd newly invented development simulated technology in the hydrocarbon sector for replacing the vertical installed towers of the refineries, petrochemicals and chemical plants with horizontal lay distillation columns was being researched since 1939, which is most essential in present-day scenario to check climate change and environmental temperature rise from early decay of the universe. The brief details of specific features and advantages over other available technologies of all the 3 newly developed technologies granted with total 9 numbers of India, US and UK patents will be discussed in the upcoming 15 minutes video. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Welcome.
So actually, his son actually was an independent inventor, and
Video is to be displayed.
Yes, so like you mentioned, desalination of water. So we are using RO and other things, but that is not economically possible on a bulk water body. So if in large scale you want to do, so his son invented a technology. It was basically a concept before that, and several papers had been published. That is use of gas hydrate to remove impurities from the water. So how it can be done physically through a economical model, nobody was able to do it, but his son had developed that and got it patented. But unfortunately, he passed in COVID. So after that, those patents are just lying as a grant. So that is one of the.
He's offering on a commercial
Yes,
basis?
yes. So he is looking for MSMEs who are willing to license the technology, on a very cheap cost. It is available, so that it is contributed towards the development of Indian economy. So in the video, he explains on all the three technologies, for which the grant is there. So there is a video. If the internet is supporting, then I can play the video.
We are taking the present opportunity to approach all of the technologies evaluators and investors attending the present IITD Alumni Expo are a meritorious support to an Indian selfless and patriotic independent researcher and new technologies inventor, Reverend Amit Katyal, to promote his newly invented, developed and simulated 3 India, US, UK patent granted technologies. Mr. Amit Katyal has been an IIT alumni, having passed out his BTech in chemical engineering in the year 1993. Having a patriotic instinct and confidence in his inherent talent to stay back in India and to do something revolutionary in the field of chemical engineering, which could bring his motherland towards high ranking in grant of national and international patents in physical sciences, technology sector, he did not opt to go abroad. Initially, Mr. Amit Katyal worked in the hydrocarbon sector for about 10 years to have the operational experience and extensively participated in the installation and commissioning of one major petrochemical plant in UP and one LPG plant in Gujarat. Having not found any opportunity in the technology inventions, which was his inherent desire and God-given talent, he left the organization and purchasing a small office through bank loans, started conducting R&D independently and individually, taking bank loans to invent technologies, transforming from his mind-blowing new concepts required for the national and universal use. During his studies in IIT Delhi, he got an opportunity to be associated for conducting and writing a project report for the Department of Science and Technology on the subject of techno-market survey of industrial wastewater treatment technologies, which had prompted him to invent and develop a new, most cost-effective and easy to install a gas hydrate-based water desalination technology. The concept which was researched since 1942 by a large number of international researchers, but it was not our Indian IITD alumni researcher whose developed and simulated technology got granted US patent number US 9643860B2 on 9 May 2017. The most important and specific feature of this technology is that it would replace different industrial wastewater treatment technologies which are costlier to operate than the plant itself, with its sole most cost-effective technology to operate. Technology number 1. Granted patent as system and method for hydrate-based desalination system. The specific features and salient features are: number 1. Gas hydrate-based water distillation technology was being researched since 1942 by different international researchers and inventors, but none of their developed technologies were evaluated to get the grant of patent. While our Indian inventor got succeeded in grant of US patent number 9643860B2 dated 7/5/2017 and thereafter granted Indian patent number 306391 dated 28/1/2019. Number 2. Gas hydrate-based desalination technology can desaline highest rating of salinity. As per the probability of high salinity water leak is observed at Mars, and in view of the specific new technological features, the said technology could very well be used just to desalinate the lake water for general use. Number 3. The gas hydrate-based desalination technology can treat most of the industrial effluents at minimum cost, replacing different industrial wastewater treatment technologies which are costly to install and uneconomical to operate. Even this technology could very well be used effectively in sewage treatment plants and enable to clear the toxic elements and purify the water for general and agricultural use. Number 4. The particular technology could also clear seawater not only to salinity but to most of the metallic elements and toxic contents which are harmful for the marine life. Number 5. Gas hydrate-based water desalination technology is capable to viable desalinate high salinity water like reject brine of seawater, reverse osmosis plant and highly saline fracking water, produce water with a level of salinity up to a saline composition at an electric energy consumption of just around 0.05 kilowatt per liter of desalinated water. Number 6. The system can very easily be integrated with non-conventional forms of energy like tidal energy, wind energy and solar energy instead of electrical energy. Technology number 2. It's simple to install and most cost-effective water purification and desalination technology titled as system and method for simultaneous evaporation and condensation in connected vessels. Patent granted are US patent number 1087677B2 and other 3 UK patent number GB255951, UK patent number 58678 and India patent number 328525 dated 30/12/2019. Specific and salient features of technologies are: the invention of this most simple and install and most techno-economical to operate is from a new brainstorming concept of the Indian independent inventor. Number 2. The present invention is directed to highly distillation process and an apparatus thereof. More particularly, the present invention is directed to a highly efficient water distillation process. The third feature is the technology is one of the most effective technique for purifying water is to distill it. In distillation, the water
so that this revolutionary technology can be taken to a greater scale. Our first investment is first company for today. Very good morning. So before we proceed, I don't think so we should leave any gaps open. I'm very much interested in investing in the first one. So this company, whatever information was there in the video, was absolutely great. I don't know why you guys used it, but you guys should connect the founder of the company with me immediately. Because the technologies on which they are working, these are should.
He had pitched the idea in front of investors. So one of the investors was interested in the idea of desalination of the water. So that was there. So I just gave him a slot over here, so that he can pitch if anybody is interested, and invite few MSMEs who are engaged into water treatment also, but they haven't come. So anyways, I just played the video. So the next session is by a student, who is also an aspiring entrepreneur. So he has I came across his speech when I visited his college, and it was very interesting. And it is regarding how we promote our GI products, So his name is Abhinav Saikola. So you can please.
You have coordinates of Katyal coordinates.
Yes, I have.
You can display.
Okay.
So that somebody can come forward.
Yes. It is with me. His contact details are there. I have approached few people also who are interested. So I've provided his details to them also. So if anybody is interested, you can take from me. He's a super senior citizen. His age is around, I think, 82. So, but he's also a technical person. So he understands the patent.
May I know what is the approximate cost of the project? Approximate.
So he had invested total 10 crores. Okay. To develop and patent the technology for the three technologies.
So now how much is the approximate amount?
The value is very huge, because water treatment is universal requirement. And in ships, they have regular water requirements. So they take the saline water and desalinate it. So they have that, but that is not the best way to do it. Because, it is harming the aquatic life. When you are taking the water and dumping more waste to it, by refining it. So, but this technology is good for aquatic life also. So universally, it has got good demand. Sustainability. It's a sustainable technology. And it's not trivial patent. It is like a groundbreaking patent. And it has got potential. Potential is very high. Commercialization for.
I'll sit with you detail.
Yes.
After having a detailed discussion, we can come to a conclusion.
Yes.
Because we have to take care of the.
I'm also interested that we will all sit together.
Yes.
So double discussion and
Actually, we have to think about the market.
huge potential.
No, that's all. What is the use we have to know?
Yes.
How much is the financial?
Correct, sir.
How much is financial? How much we are getting funds from somewhere? What way we can go further? Where we have to set up? All those.
Hyderabad, sir.
Sir is having my entire details.
Yes.
Part details you give me. Don't
That's
give me
what
entire details.
yeah, part one I'll give.
సార్ ఇక్కడ మధ్యలో రాండి సార్ బ్యానర్ వస్తుంది
We would like to present a small token of appreciation to Dr. Sridhar Rao. So,
Visible, sir? Oh, fine. I'll start. Very good evening to Mr. Gulshan from MSME Hyderabad, and also all the participants here. Thank you for the invitation. I'll be speaking. Yes, sir. Am I audible? Am I audible, sir? Yes. Yeah. Fine. Thank you, Gulshan sir, and also the participants here present for giving me this opportunity. My role is to discuss something about copyright law and trademark law. First, I will be introducing a minor part of intellectual property as a whole, and then go to the two topics. I think I have 1 hour to present. First thing first, we all know that 2014 onwards, and then later on, we have heard of two concepts. Basically, one is the Made in India, which is a Government of India program, and also the Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan, which inculcates the Made in India project as well as the Indian mode of manufacturing goods and services. When it comes to the Make in India, India is today the top 50 innovating countries in 2020, and also first in Central and South Asia, ranking first. I believe that we have transformed the way the business is done in India today. For example, the first thing I start with, India was able to manufacture something called as Consort Digital Manufacturer Train Radio System, which is patented, and which is communication through two different trains and stations. I think that was the first invention which India has created with reference to the train radio systems, which has been patented. My topic is not patent, but still I felt that I could introduce this particular thing because we have different kinds of intellectual property. Patent has already been dealt, I believe. In addition to that, there is copyright and trademark, which are most important for the society as a whole. Now, we all know that we are in the economy where ideas are supported. Ideas itself will not be enough. We should have knowledge as well as information which is available with us. So we are in an economy where knowledge is power, information is also power. So on that basis, your intellectual property holds an important key role here. Now coming to the MSMEs here, MSMEs provide almost around 29% of the GDP, which is though considered to be a complementary to large industry. See, that's one of the idea which we should come out of it, because we normally say MSMEs are complementary to large industry, in the sense providing ancillary support to the large industry. However, the contribution when we look into is around 29%, and basically the socio-economic development, it comes to around 6.11% of the manufacturing GDP. So I think it's around 2021 report, it's not the recent one. Then we have around 34.4 of the manufacturing output from the MSMEs. The employment and job creation goes up to 120 million, and overall export from MSME goes up to 45%. Means almost half of the manufactured goods are exported with reference to MSME concern here. And the growth rate, when it comes to the growth rate, 2011 and 12 was at the highest. 14-15 is 10.74. I think that's one thing. And later on, we saw that we have now startups and unicorns coming in, wherein we have 100 unicorns in India. Startups have taken a ride today because we are supporting startups and MSMEs to a large extent. One more positive thing which we had to face, or we had to look into, was during COVID. I believe all MSMEs were in problem because the shops were to be shut because of the lockdown. And luckily those who faced financial problems, the Government of India has supported by extending the limit relating to insolvency and bankruptcy law. They did not allow the insolvency to be taken up with reference to MSMEs. That was a positive move towards MSMEs. Some of them majorly survived the insolvency and bankruptcy because of the amendment made to the insolvency law. Then coming into the MSMEs IP awareness are concerned, there is something called as National Manufacturing Competitive Programs, and which basically provides assistance, enhances competitiveness in Indian manufacturing sector. There is also a national campaign for building awareness on intellectual property. Then there is Intellectual Property Facilitation Center. So MSMEs can take benefit out of it. I believe if you go to the Intellectual Property Facilitation Center, they will assist you as to how to get the intellectual property protected. Then you have IPR, building awareness on IPRs for MSMEs. There are around, I think almost around 420, 425 programs till now which have been conducted for bringing awareness as to the IP is concerned. That's a huge development with reference to MSME's department is concerned. And as we know, MSME Development Act is the governing law for MSMEs with an objective to facilitate development of MSME and which enhances competitiveness. Then, why intellectual property for MSME, and then what is the status of the intellectual property relating to MSMEs? Now coming to the first point, MSMEs are slow to register or protect its IP assets for various reasons. One may be because it requires money. Normally when you register a patent or copyright or a trademark, you have to spend some money. That's one reason why they are slow to protect intellectual property. Two, they may ignore the value of the intellectual property. And many MSMEs ignore the intellectual property. That's the reason why the protection may also be slow and sometimes they may not get protected. And then intellectual property protection. Then they also think that this is sometimes a difficult task.
वो बहुत जरूरी था क्योंकि ना बहुत जबरदस्त गलती है वो और बात
Sir, are you hearing me?
Yes.
Yeah. I think I was audible till now?
Yes.
Challenges relating to MSME. Okay, fine. Okay. So, MSMEs are slow to protect in that way because they believe that it is expensive, it's not necessary sometimes, or they are ignorant of to be protected. So awareness as to protection of intellectual property is less. That's one of the major reasons why MSMEs are hesitant or maybe ignorant of protecting intellectual property in this case. And one more problem with MSME is that they think that it's only the patent which has to be protected. Unfortunately, it's not so. You have to protect not only the patent, there are other kinds of intellectual property you have to protect. I think today I'll be highlighting upon the other two intellectual property which may become important for MSMEs in this case. Now, as we know, these are the different intellectual properties we have. One, the copyright, patents, trademark, geographic indications, industrial designs, plant variety and breeders' rights here, and one of the most important thing is trade secret. So trade secret is an intellectual property, and please remember when I say trade secret, it is secret. You should not make it public, because once you make it public, it doesn't remain trade secret, and your rights are just out in the open. Don't do that. So if it is a trade secret, keep it for yourself. Never disclose it unless you want to sell it or unless you want to give a license of that particular trade secret to the other party. For example, Coca-Cola is the best way of understanding what trade secret is. Even after a century, we don't know what is the mixture of the Coke which they manufacture because that's a trade secret. Okay, so please don't disclose your trade secret. If you have a secret, keep it with you. And even if you have to disclose it at a particular point of time to somebody, enter into an agreement with them saying that it is something called as a non-disclosure agreement, so that they will not disclose that secret to any other person other than required with that particular party concerned. So don't do that. For example, this happens during the merger and acquisition process. If your company is acquiring, you are acquiring a company or the other company is acquiring your company, then the trade secret needs to be disclosed. At that particular point of time, enter into a non-disclosure agreement so that the other party who knows your secret will not be entitled to disclose it to the outside world. You can file a case against the person if he discloses to any other person within the law or legal framework here. Okay, so that's the trade secret part of it. I'll not go much on that line today. Now these are the statutes which govern our law. I am only concentrating on two things. Trade Act is governed by the Trademark Act of 1999. Then the Copyright Act is referred under the Copyright Act of 1957. In this connection, you read also Designs Act of 2000. Because I will highlight one point on Designs Act and Copyright Act later. The rest of it is law which is provided with. Trade secret doesn't have a separate law. Please remember that. Trade secret will be governed by the contractual liability or common law principles. So it is nothing like Trade Secret Act. Like Patent Act or Copyright Act, there is no act with reference to Trade Secret Act. Then, coming in, please remember, who owns an intellectual property becomes important. It is with reference to trademark, it's with reference to copyright, whatever the case may be. So, patent also. Now, please, it is a private right, it is an exclusive right which is given to a owner who created in case of copyright law, innovation in case of patent law. So, a person who created a patent, innovation will get a patent, whereas in case of copyright law, we call it as a creation, and a person who created it will get the rights over it. And it has a life period for every act in this case, except for example the trademark and the trade secret. Copyright will be remaining with you as a right until the death of the author of the creator plus 60 years is a protection. Patent provides 20 years, copyright provides 60 years in some cases, broadcasting is around 25 years. So it all depends upon what kind of right it is to be protected in this case. And who owns an intellectual property is an important issue which has to be taken care of. Now coming to the area of operation, copyright law, trademark law are normally territorial rights, like a patent instance. When I say a territorial right, it is applicable only to India. Even if your protection is to be within India, you have to go with the Indian law here. However, the international law also protects your work. In the sense of what's the trademark or a copyright area, you can go international depending upon whether you are carrying on business out here or not. Your company, an MSME in goods outside India, selling mark India, you may have to protect your trademark outside India also. So we have specific conventions for protecting the intellectual property at the international level. One single application in India with the international perspective can do, and you get protection all over the world wherever you want to register your trademark. For example, you want to choose the market in America, you can register with America with just single application. Okay, so like I think this is not the day where we discuss all these things. I will highlight only one general principle of patent and trademarks and copyright laws. One, interpreting registration, copyright will not be registered. Okay? So even if your work is not registered with the copyright law, yes sir. Yes sir. Okay. Sure. Should I rejoin? Okay. Yes, sir. Okay, fine. So, you need not register a copyright. While you have to register a patent, you need not register a copyright. Even if you don't register, you get protection here. So, as to the copyright is concerned, registration is not mandatory. However, it's advisable to register for the reason that if there is a case before the court of law, then it becomes difficult for you to prove that. So that's one of the reasons why it is advisable that the copyright should be registered. Whenever you create a work of copyright, you have to register it. That's a better advice which has to be taken care of. When it comes to trademark law, registration once again may not be mandatory. But if you register, you have a right of first use. And then you may trademark because you all trademark. Otherwise, with reference to the top law is the third is IP due diligence. Please remember, IP is becoming a very important asset for you to have intangible rights where you protect it, and whenever you see that you are selling it or buying it, please conduct a due diligence. Due diligence has to be conducted or sell about that. The fourth is with reference to infringement of rights. Now, if you have created a work, if it's a trademark of yours, any other party can infringe your rights. Now, when he infringes, he uses that copyright work or trademark without your permission, then you have a legal claim against the other party, and then action can be taken against the other party in law. So that's the general principles of intellectual property here. Now, coming into copyright law, I just see that how exactly you have different varieties of copyright coming into picture. The first one, you all have watched the Tom and Jerry show, right? You all have watched Mickey Mouse. Now these are creations basically. These are movie, cartoon creation which we all loved when we were children. And even now if you tell me to watch Tom and Jerry, I can sit and watch for hours together. So basically, these are creations which are protected by copyright law. Please remember, it's not patent. It's a copyright law. Many people get confused with reference to patent and copyright. Any creation of an idea will be with reference to copyright law here. So, your movies and your cartoons, everything will come under production of copyright law. All of us know STB, and remember we loved him for his voice, and his voice is nothing but as a performer, it's a copyright work. And any musical work with reference to that particular song will be protected as a musical work here. Now, that also is one work which is copyright law. Then photography. Photography is also protected under copyright law. I'll be explaining that later. Now, a design of a particular building, when you write the architectural designs of a building, is also protected under copyright law. Then you have books which are protected under copyright law, which we call it as publications here, which are protected under copyright law. And last but not the least, computer programs. Today, we all are used to the computer programs. They are all now protected under copyright law. How it is protected, I'll be highlighting those things. Now, before coming to the various rights which are protected, I hope you all heard of controversy between these two songs. One is Navarasam and Varaha Rupam. Now, Varaha Rupam was a movie song which was actually depicted with a demigod and which was said to be copied from Navarasam, right? Now, how will the court decide that it is a copy of the other one? The courts have to consider themselves not as an expert, okay? There are people who are in the music industry who are considered to be expert, who will give evidence or witness saying that whether it is a copy of it or not. And when you go to the study, deeper study of this song, they say that the notes which have been used are different, hence it not amounting to copyright at all, copyright violation. It may be inspiration. Remember, it can be inspiration, but it cannot be a violation of copyright because notes which have been used in the music is different from that of Navarasam. That's what is the factual situation. The case is pending before the court of law. We have to wait for it. But remember, courts are not the expert to decide about which node is good, which node is copied in this particular case, unless you prove before the court of law that node was copied in the circumstances. Okay, that's one thing. Now I have, I don't know whether it will be played or not, but I have two songs for you to decide about whether it is a copy or not. Okay, I am sorry if I am not able to communicate to you through this song, for the reason that in Cisco it may not be possible that you will reach with this song. But at least when you go back, you can hear these two songs, you can identify whether they are copied or not. Okay? If you don't hear, just I'll play it now. Sir, you should tell me whether it is audible or not. Okay? Audible? Audible, sir?
Yes, but the volume is a bit low.
Okay. Not audible? No, I think we don't have time. I'll tell you the songs. One is Under Pressure. Okay, please watch it once again. We'll go back. One is what is called as Ice Ice Baby. The other one is Under Pressure. Both these songs, if you hear it, you can understand that how it can be copied from one song to the other song. Okay, this is how we have to understand. The other song is this one. Okay, Ice Ice Baby. Okay, it is also considered to be copy of the other one. So this is one song, and the second song which I wanted to play was Pretty Woman. I think it's a very popular song. A Pretty Woman was now transformed into what is called as Pretty Woman 2 Live Shot 3. So these are the two songs which I wanted to compare. I think I know I cannot play with it, but please remember that one of them was said to be copied, the other one was not said to be copied, right? So there's two different opinions coming from the courts, wherein one is said to be copied, the other one is not a copy, for the reason that one was said to be a transformational musical work. So when they transformed it, like what happened in Varaharupam case, might have happened in that particular case also. That's the reason why the courts were distinguishing between these two things and saying one is copy, the other one is not a copy in this case. Now coming to certain movies here. For example, we all have watched Sholay, right? There is one song which was very popular in Sholay, I think which was nothing but the inspiration was from a song called as My Only Fascination from Denis Rousseau's. Okay? It's a case where I think it was an item song in Sholay, which you can hear once again. When you go back, you can hear those things, where it was said to be an inspiration to be brought into the Indian movies here. So there are a lot of things which people take inspiration from others. I think Anu Malik is an example of how he is said to be taking songs from outside and playing in his movies. Okay, that's one best example I can take you for that. You have film called Man. Once again, all the 5 songs were taken from some other English songs here. Similarly, you have Batamiz Dil song taken from somebody, inspiration from somebody else. Okay. Now, these are how it is copyrightable, how it is workable, how it is protected. I'll be highlighting those things in the next slides. The first one, as to the movie is concerned, you all know that 3 Idiot was controversial for the reason that the producer was challenged on the ground that it was written by Chetan Bhagat, which is called as 5 Point Someone. The novel was written by, the book was written by Chetan Bhagat called 5 Point Someone, and then it was taken by the 3 Idiot producers in this case. That's one example I can give as to the movie is concerned. The second one is into your 777 Charlie, which was a Kannada movie. They said that we have taken the idea from Togo, right? Togo, which was a movie which was made by English Bollywood there. Inspirations taken here. Now, when I speak of this, what are copyrights here? What are copyrights here? I have come to the question now. Now, copyright is protected in various ways, different ways. One is literary work. When I say literary work, your textbooks, novels, and other things comes into play, okay? That's the literary work. Similarly, when I come to literary work in India, computer programs are protected under literary work because you have a source and an object code in the computer program. So they say that it is protected under the copyright law. Now, you may raise a question that is not computer program protected under patent law? United States have been protecting computer program in patent law. In India of late, when the functionality is involved, right, they are protecting under patent law. If it is not with reference to functionality of a computer program, it's protected under the copyright law as a literary work because you have a source code which is a human readable form, an object code which is a machine readable form which is protected under copyright law here. So it's not protected under patent law, it's protected under copyright law as the literary work, except when there is a functionality involved. If the software performs a specific function, then you may claim protection under patent law, otherwise you will be claiming under the literary work in this case. That's the first kind of copyright you get it. One, that is literary work. Two, cinematograph films, sound recording and music. All these three are also considered to be copyrightable. When I say copyrightable means, if you produce a movie, if you produce a sound recording, normally albums and other things are produced by individual singers. So if they produce a musical recording or a sound recording, they are protected as copyright here. Okay, that's the second kind of copyright protection you get it. The third one is work of architecture. When I speak of work of architecture, as I told you, that it is the architectural design. For example, you want to construct a house, you appoint an architecture. He draws the designs of that particular architecture, he gives it to you, that being a copyright here. So, please remember that it only protects the way in which the architecture has drawn. Later on, if you construct a house, you can't protect the house that no one should copy this particular house. No, to that extent protection is not given. It's only to an extent of artistic character and design of that particular work which is given here. So that's a detailed analysis which we require. I'm not going into that now. The fourth one is your artistic work. When you speak of artistic work, your painting, photograph, sculptures, drawings, all these things, paintings, all these things come under copyright protection, and you can claim copyright protection of all those paintings, drawings, pictures, photographs, sculptures, whatever the case may be, within the provisions of Copyright Act. And the sixth one is something called as a right of a performer. For example, I am a teacher, my performance is protected under copyright law. Musical singers, when a film song is sung, or when you speak of any person singing a song here, he gets a right of a performer. Snake charmer is a performer, okay? So they have their own rights with reference to copyright law, and they get protection under law. Similarly, broadcasters also get right. In the old law, they were called as additional rights. Today, they have a direct right over broadcasting. For example, tomorrow, if cricket is telecast, football is telecast, then it is called as a broadcasting right. A person gets a broadcasting right. There are separate rights for the broadcaster in that case, wherein you can regulate how many people should get a broadcast, where it will be broadcast. All these things will be regulated by the owner of the broadcast in this particular case. So these are the different ways in which the copyright comes into play. Any doubts here? Gulshan sir, any questions or anything I can answer, or shall I proceed? Proceed. Yes, okay. So that's one thing. Please remember, when I speak of a novel, poem or plays, there may be a possibility of a translation. See, let me take an example. I have written a book on a particular subject in English. So anyone want to translate into Telugu, let me say, he or she want to translate it to Telugu, you have to seek permission from me to translate it. Okay, so copyright is with me. You have a right of translation. What is that I will be referring to? It's nothing but providing reproduction right to the other party in that particular case. So I provide a right to you to go for a reproduction of it in a different manner or translate it in a different manner altogether. So these are also the rights which I get when I create a book in this case. Let me take an example. This is one example. Second example is, I may provide the book in whatever manner I can. I can provide in the soft copy today. I can also have a hardbound copy, or I can also have a paperback book. So all these are left to the owner of a copyright, yeah, that how he actually wanted to publish it. So whether it's a novel, poem, or plays, or translation, or a newspaper in this particular case, you have a copyright over all these work as a literary work in this case. So this is with reference to copyright law. Now what are the nature of right here? As I told you, it is a movable property, it's an intangible asset, you have bundle of rights. It's not one right you are getting in copyright, you get bundle of rights here. And similarly, the fourth one is negative right. When I say negative right, you are stopping the other person not to use your work. That's why it is called as a negative right. Okay? So, when I say negative right means, I want to stop you from copying from my work. That's the reason why you call it as a negative right. Now, coming into the bundle of rights, as I told you, it's I who decide how exactly it should be done. For example, I have a reproduction right. When I say reproduction means, I can have 100 copies of the novel or 1,000 copies of the novel. If thousands are over, I can come out with a second edition. I can come with a paperback. I can convert that into a novel. Or for example, I can allow somebody else to convert it to a movie. A novel can be converted to a movie or a play or a ballet, right? So this right of reproduction is with me as an owner of copyright. Similarly, I have a distribution right. When I speak of a distribution right, one person has a right over the copyright, he has a right to distribute. For example, if a play is to be played in a theatre, it is nothing but you are distributing it or communicating, performing with the public here. So, distribution right, issue of copies to the public lies with me. Third one is I can also give it for rent. Libraries do that, remember. Libraries do that. Rental rights are given by the libraries here. When the books are lent by you, it is nothing but an author has authorized the library to go for a rental rights to given to library here. Then the fourth one is adaptation right or translation right. Adaptation, as I told you, I can convert my novel into a play, novel into a movie or a musical work, whatever. Adaptation or translation of the work can be permitted here. The fifth one is communication to the public. Once it is converted into a drama or a theatre work, I can communicate to the public here. That's also one of the method of transferring my rights to the other party. Then the last one is moral rights. When I speak of a moral right, if I have a novel, normally the way in which I have presented is protected by law. That is a moral right of the person concerned. Let me say I handed over my novel to be produced as a movie. Now in my novel, the story ends with a tragedy. But in the movie you wanted to make it a happy ending. Now you have to seek permission from me not to change it for the reason that my moral right remains, that it should remain as a tragedy only, which will not be happy ending. But if you take permission from me that I convert that movie into a happy ending movie, then it's fine. Otherwise, you will be violating my copyright for the reason that I have a moral right over it. As it is, it should remain with my moral rights. So these are certain additional rights. When I say bundle of rights means, these are the additional rights which I get in a copyright law. Okay? As I said, performers' rights are also today existing. Actors, singers, musicians do have a right today. I hope you all have heard of SPB Ilayaraja of Fate. Means they started fighting. Ilayaraja gave a notice to SP Subramaniam when he wanted to, supposed to sing in United States, that you can't sing without my license, without my permission. Now that is how the controversy has come in, and today the people have performance right, what is called as a performance. For example, in a movie, it's not only the producer who is involved here. There is a director, there are lyricists, there are musical instruments which are played, and there are people who are playing musical instruments in the movie. Now all these are having individual rights when it comes to a movie here. It was not there before. Remember that these were not there before. Performer right has been added into the copyright law, and today each one of them can claim their own right within the provisions of law. Okay? So performance right comes into picture at that particular stage. Gulshan sir, am I fine? Are you hearing me?
Fine.
Yes. Okay, fine. Now, as to the computer programs are concerned, remember, you have a right to sell the computer program or you can give it for commercial rental. Normally, what the owner of computer program does today is he will only give a license. Let me take a case. Antivirus license. Antivirus is a license which is given to you. You are not given ownership of the computer program. Remember that. You are not only because you purchased a software, it doesn't mean you are an owner. You are only being given a license in this case. So normally today every company is giving license to you rather than ownership being transferred. Ownership still remains with the concerned person. For example, Microsoft, or you have a window player, right? Window player to be purchased. You have to go for a license. It cannot be ownership which will be transferred in this case. So that's one thing which has to be taken care of. Now, international law, I told you that protects copyright in different ways. One is the Berne Convention is the first convention which actually protected copyright in the international perspective. They said that internationally also you can protect copyright. Not only in India, if you want to protect outside India, you have to register there and protect it in this particular country. So any country you want to protect it, go and protect under the Berne Convention, you will be getting protection there. Okay, the Berne Convention. When WTO came into picture in 1994, where TRIPS agreement was part of the WTO agreement, where they also initiated the protection of intellectual property under the TRIPS agreement. Now, TRIPS agreement is an international treaty, and we have to be bound by all